Hey, welcome to the Chilling Current. Thanks for joining.
At first glance, this isolated coastal community seems defined by its stillness. It is a town where predictability is a way of life, except for a recurring anomaly that has haunted the residents for decades. Every few years, someone in the town claims to see a catastrophe before it happens. These aren't vague hunches. They are specific, detailed accounts of fires, floods, and accidents. The earliest documented case Riley remembers is from their childhood. A teenage girl named Hannah ran into the town square, screaming that the bridge into town was about to collapse. Hannah described the disaster in sensory detail. She spoke of the sound of groaning metal and the feeling of the river water swallowing her whole. 2 days later, the bridge collapsed exactly as she described. At the moment of the failure, no one was crossing it. While the town was spared a mass casualty event, the incident established a chilling precedent for those who offer these warnings. Despite the bridge being empty when it fell, search teams found one body in the river miles downstream, Hannah. When they recovered her, investigators noted a bizarre detail. Though she hadn't been seen near the bridge that day, her hands were covered in the same rust found on the bridge's collapsed structure. The town officially recorded it as a tragic accident, but it was the first in a series of events that would eventually form a grim historical cycle. In the years that followed, town records showed a specific pattern. Every resident who accurately predicted a disaster died shortly after, often before reaching the age of 30. In this community, an accurate prediction and a fatal outcome for the predictor became inextricably linked. A decade after Hannah, a fisherman predicted a violent storm that didn't appear on any radar. He stayed ashore to save himself. The storm hit the coast as described, but the fisherman's caution was irrelevant. The next morning, he was found drowned in perfectly calm water near his home. The cycle continued with a teacher who foresaw a school gas leak and a mechanic who predicted a multi-car pileup. Both predictions came true, and both individuals died in environments that should have been safe. The teacher in her bed, and the mechanic in his own garage, pinned under his car. Before their deaths, each of these people told their families the same thing. They insisted they weren't predicting the future, but remembering it. This recurring phrase shifted the local understanding of the phenomenon. It suggested that these individuals were experiencing a memory of an event they had already lived. Riley never believed these stories until last year, when they woke up with the absolute certainty that the town's abandoned mill would burn down that evening. Riley spent the day in a state of escalating panic, begging anyone to listen. Their roommate laughed, and the town ignored them, assuming it was just small-town paranoia. At 11:42 p.m., the old mill caught fire. The flames were so intense they lit up the entire sky, and the local fire department eventually ruled the cause as arson. Riley's sleep was soon replaced by intrusive, vivid flashes of other terrible catastrophes: floods, sudden plane crashes, and collapsing concrete buildings they had never seen. The visions eventually centered on a single image of Riley standing on the local pier as the water rose, while a voice whispered that their turn had arrived. With the fulfillment of the mill fire, Riley had transitioned from a witness to the latest subject of the town's lethal pattern. Riley sought out May, the oldest person in town, who had watched every cycle play out. She offered a structural explanation for why these deaths seemed so inevitable. May believes disasters happen repeatedly across infinite parallel timelines. Sensitive individuals recall a branch where they didn't survive, sending a pulsating echo back to the main reality. This memory pulls that deadly timeline inward, causing both to violently merge. May's conclusion was stark. She claimed that once the memory is clear enough for someone to describe it, the convergence of the two timelines cannot be stopped. According to this theory, the act of predicting a disaster is actually the moment the timeline begins to fold, ensuring the remembered death occurs in the present reality. Riley immediately left the coast, traveling far inland to a dry, arid climate. They believed that if they were nowhere near the ocean, the memory of the rising water on the pier could not reach them. 2 weeks later, a final message arrived. It was a single blurry photograph, showing a dark sky over a pier, with water rising around a hand reaching from the waves. On the back of the photo was a single handwritten sentence: "It happened again."
The photograph suggests that physical location was irrelevant.
The events of the alternate timeline Riley remembered had successfully manifested. This case forces a different perspective on moments of intense gut feelings or vivid nightmares of specific dangers. If these feelings are actually memories of a death you've already experienced elsewhere, then acknowledging them might be what finally brings that timeline into your own.